Hi everyone, it's Leilani. Welcome back to my channel. So today we are going to be finally working in my reading journal, and we're going to be documenting everything that I read for the months of January and February, even though February was not a great reading month for me, but we're going to document everything here today. So if you have not watched the previous video, I did prep some of these pages here for 2023, so I'll link that below if you're interested, but now it's blank and ready to just start documenting all the things that I read this month or this year in 2023. So the first thing that I always do is I print off my book covers at a 0.7 by 1.1, a random size I know, but I can print any size on my home printer. So I print them off quite small, and I add them here on this first page, which is what I read in 2023. So I'm adding on all my book covers, and I will say that one change that I've made, a few of my friends suggested to print my book covers off on sticker paper instead of my regular just printer paper, and oh my gosh, what an improvement. I mean, if I could easily go back and change everything that I did last year, I would do it in a second. Obviously I can't do that, but it's so much better. I mean, honestly, the book covers look so much better on the sticker paper in my opinion, and it just adds such a small amount of bulk. I really wish that the whole book was like this, but I've learned, and now sticker paper is the only way to go. So there at the beginning, I did show you what sticker paper that I got. I'll link that below as well. I just grabbed it off of Amazon, but I have no reference. I just looked up sticker paper and I chose a matte option that looked like it would work well, and I really enjoyed it. So after I add on all the smaller books, I go into my monthly favorites. So I'm adding in January and February. And I will tell you just a bit about these books. So I do not remember the authors of many of these, so I apologize. If you have any questions, of course, you can always comment below. But my favorite book for the month of January was Confessions. And I believe that this was a translated text from that was a Japanese book originally. And it was so good. It's a thriller, and when I say thriller, I mean at the end of each section there is a crazy bomb that is dropped. I mean, it was definitely thrilling, very good, 5-star read. I loved it. And then the next one was a reread for me, was Finlay Donovan is Killing It, which I actually read last February as well, whenever I started to really get into reading. And I reread that this year for my Cozy Mystery Book Club over on Patreon. And it was, again, my favorite book for the month, and definitely a 5-star read, one of my very favorites, and I recommend that book to everyone. I just think everyone can enjoy it. So here we're moving on to my bookshelfie. So the only thing that I did here that's different from that original video where I was setting up the pages, I actually took the bookshelf printables that I had already adhered into my book. I just ripped them off and I added them on the sticker paper because I was not happy with my color choices for the 5-star, the 4-star, the 3-star reads, because some of my markers were kind of drying out, and it was a big thing. So now I'm just coloring back in my little pots and all the cute things, but you'll notice at the top I did color in all of my books that I have read so far this year. So the blue ones were 5-star reads, the pink are 4-star, the yellow are 3-star, and then I don't have any 2 or 1s yet. So that is how my bookshelf will go this year. Last year I did them by audio, physical, and ebook, which I'm still going to be documenting that in my monthly, but I didn't need that documented twice. I would much rather see my star rating, so I decided to change that for this year. Now, if y'all have been following along with pretty much any of my videos lately, you will know that I have been mildly obsessed with these mixed media pages that I created. These are the ones I created over on Patreon, but I did create some over here on YouTube as well, and I've been sprinkling them into a lot of projects. And so I had them on my desk and they just were calling me. They fit so perfectly. It was just about the right size for this book, and they're really, really thin because I did the mixed media on Hobonichi paper, so it's super thin paper, so it was so perfect to add in to give some color but to not add a ton of bulk. So you'll notice that I'm going to add those papers in here and there. So we moved right over the reading from my TBR because none of these books came from my TBR that I read, of course, right? So I just passed that over. But as the months go on, I do plan on marking those off if I do manage to read any of the books off of my physical TBR that I have. Now I'm going to add on another piece of the mixed media paper, and I'm kind of doing almost like a little divider here to get into the monthly spreads. So the main things that I kind of like to document in my reading journal is like all the stuff at the beginning, which I'm a fairly new reader. So I don't do a lot of the challenges and I don't keep track of a ton of stats. I don't want this book to get to be where it's difficult for me every month to keep up with it. You know, I already do a lot of projects, so I want to keep it relatively simple. So I like to just do, you know, the small books of what I read for the entire year, then also just a very easy monthly favorite. And then I love the bookshelfie. That's really fun and easy to do. And then of course I like to keep up with the monthly spread. Since it's still the beginning of the year, I'm having to do a few of these kind of like opening pages and stuff. But of course, from now on, I won't have to worry about these. So it should be easy to kind of keep up with the book as I go. At the end of this video, we will also do a little bit for my book club section for this year. And then I should have a few extra pages in the back. And I'm trying to decide if I want to do some sort of a review section like I did last year. So I think I might do that. But I was just kind of done working in this book by the end. But maybe I might pick out a few books that were like my special, you know, favorite ones, the ones I especially liked, and add those into the back in a review section by next month. We shall see what happens. So here, like I said, I'm just adding kind of like a little divider page here that says monthly stats, and I added on a few little stickers. All of those stickers are from Pipsticks, and I am going to need to place another order so that I can grab a few more. They go kind of quickly, so I definitely want to do that. I was trying to figure out this washi tape situation. I was adding some and then taking it away. I definitely take this away. I do not end up liking that at all, but I was kind of moving it around, and then I decided, oh yeah, I didn't do my cute little lines there with my marker. So I'm adding those on, and I'm really enjoying that little pop of yellow throughout for this year. So I added that right on, and then we'll be moving into the monthly sections. So I would love to know if you guys are documenting your reading in any way this year. It is really fun, and I love it whenever I get going with documenting it, and it's so easy to just pop in every month as we go, like I said. So I really love looking back and getting to see all of the books that I consumed over the year. I was so impressed with myself for 2022 because if y'all have been following along, you'll know that, I mean, I've always enjoyed reading, but that was definitely not a hobby that I really had really leaned into in a long time. So it was so nice and so refreshing to have like read so many books last year. So that was really exciting. So I do look forward to completing this album this year as well. And even though this Archer and Olive notebook is so chunky at this point, just solely from everything that I documented last year, I was just determined to still use it this year for 2023 because there's so much space left. I mean, there's half of the notebook left, and I really hate leaving notebooks like that and not filling them up. So I just decided, you know what? I'm going to make it work. And the sticker paper has really, really helped. So yeah, now for the monthly spreads, I've changed it up just a little bit, but it's kind of in general the same idea as last year. I am using a different stamp set this year, but I just put January stats at the top. I will outline that here in a minute. And then I've basically just added a couple different boxes, but mostly the same things I'm documenting. First of all, for that top box, that is the biggest one, I decided that I really wanted to stamp out how many total books that I read throughout the month. So that one, the big box, will have the total number of books. The next three smaller boxes, those are going to still be the audio, ebook, and physical copies. So that's what I'm going to do there. And then at the bottom, I'm going to write out the different genres that I read, and then also have the total number of pages at the bottom. And then here on the right side, I will once again do that same kind of style where I'm just printing off the book covers. I think that these are a 1 inch by 1.5 inch. Now for like February, I do print them off just a little bit bigger because I only had 4 books for February, but in general, they're mostly 1 by 1.5 inch little rectangles, and I'll pop those on. And then I have these rating stickers, which I'll also link below if you want to grab any of those off of Etsy, and I just add in my star rating. So some of the other books that I read throughout the month, besides Confessions, that I've already mentioned was my favorite book. So I did read 2 other Joanne Fluke books. Those are the Hannah Swenson, like, baking murder series that I've spoken about a lot over here. So I've just kept on going with it. I can get the audiobooks free from Libby, so I just tend to keep listening to them. So I did get through the Key Lime Pie Murder, which I gave 3 stars, and the Carrot Cake Murder, which I think was also 3 stars if I'm not mistaken. So I read both of those this month as well. Then I also started a really great manga series called Blood on the Tracks, which I've been hearing about so much, and it's a really very quick read, beautiful illustrations, and it is like a really strange story about a mother and son, and it's a little thrillery, and it's just a wild ride. So super interesting to read. I also read Goblin, which was a short story collection from Josh Mallerman. Unfortunately, was not quite as scary as I was hoping for, but it was kind of fun to read still. It was maybe like 6 novellas throughout, so 6 shorter stories, and they were all about people that lived in this really creepy town called Goblin. Then I listened to a book called Stay Awake that kind of had Memento vibes, if you ever watched that movie Memento, where someone like loses their memory and keeps having to kind of like piece back their life because they just can't remember anything from a certain time. And so that was a thriller that I thought was pretty good. And then the last one was A Curious Beginning, which was the cozy mystery that we read for January for my book club. That one was super good. It took place like a long time ago, maybe in the 1800s or something like that. But it was really good. Fun book. I liked the premise. There was like a couple mysteries going on, and I think everyone in the book club really enjoyed it, and I've heard a lot of great things about it in the book community. So that's one that I would definitely consider picking up another one in the series here at some point. So now we're filling in everything on the left side. So we have total reads, 8 reads, 5 audio, 3 physical, no ebooks, which I don't have a lot of ebooks in general, but I've just kind of kept that on there just in case I do read any, and it kind of fits nicely. Then I'll put my total number of pages here at the bottom. So for me, I always go on Goodreads before I start my video, and I write down all the books that I read each month. I write down what my star rating was, and then calculate the number of pages so that I'll have everything ready whenever I get over here. So at this point, I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do, and I had this stamp set from the Me, Myself, and I kit from Hiba through Studio Calico, and there were these cute little circles where you could do like the inside portion and then this little outside line. So I thought that those would fit really nicely, and I could put maybe my titles here. So I am going to write genres and total pages inside the circles, and I thought that was just fun. It filled up the space and kind of gave it a little extra pop of color over there in that corner. And then I am going to write out all my genres. So in general, I read a lot of the same genres, but I thought that it would give me something else to document. So I had 2 thrillers, 3 cozy mysteries, 2 graphic novels, and 1 horror book. So that was really fun. And that is in general how my pages will go every month. I am going to add on my little marker squiggle thing. That's going to be kind of a continuing thing that I do throughout this year over here. So I love the way the month totals turn out. I just think it's really fun to look back on, and I had a pretty good reading month for January, so happy about that one. And then we'll move on into February, where I did not read very much at all. So I think we all have those months, but for me, February was really busy with kind of Valentine's Day. Not that we did a lot, but me and Will did have a few plans of like some date days and stuff to get out and about. And it was also Will's birthday month, and me and my friend Casey have been watching Big Brother like together from our own homes, but we'll text about it. And I've been a huge Big Brother fan for like my entire life. And Casey's never watched it. And I've been trying to get her to watch it since like I was in high school. We went to high school together and she's never watched it. And so it's been so fun because season 10 is my favorite Big Brother season. In my opinion, and she started there, and then we've watched 10, 11, and 12 together, and it's been so much fun. And so if y'all have watched Big Brother, you'll know that those seasons are mega long, so that's also taken up a lot of my time, if I'm being honest. So the reading might have gone by the wayside a little bit, but I'm hoping to pick it back up in March and to get back on my schedule here. So now I'm just doing the same thing for February. I stamped out my month. I outlined it, that I'm adding in my squares. For me, y'all probably already know, I'm not looking for perfection, so I don't mind the kind of wonkiness of my rectangles and my squares. It doesn't bother me. I kind of like it, in all honesty, and I just can't be bothered getting out a ruler or something and trying to make it all perfect. It's more just for the documenting. For me, that's the fun part. So if I start getting all technical, it takes all of the whimsy out of scrapbooking for me. So you won't find a ruler around here very often. So I'm just kind of like doing the same exact layout, of course, here, stamping on my circles, and then we'll get everything filled in. So for this month, like I said, I only managed to read 4 books, which is just sad. Really, I only listened to 2, which I can't believe it, because I usually listen to about 5 books. That's like where the bulk of my reading comes from, because I can find a lot of time to listen to audiobooks. So, yeah, so I only listened to 2 books this month, but the 2 books that I read physically were the next 2 in the Blood on the Track series. So I got numbers 3 and 4 and read those. They're really quick reads and they're just so good. So I read both of those. I think I gave them 4 stars each. And then I also listened to 2 books. So I listened to What Lies in the Woods, I think it was called, and it was a thriller. I thought it was pretty good. There was a couple twists and things towards the end that I thought were definitely good enough to have read the book and everything. So I enjoyed that. I think I gave it 4 stars. And then we had Finley Donovan, my reread of that, which I actually listened to this time, and I had physically read it last time. So the audiobook was also super good. So that was really fun. And that was the book club pick for the month of February over on my Patreon. And it was so fun because I've been hyping up this book for who knows how long, and the majority of the people in my book club hadn't read it yet. So I was like, oh my gosh, we have to do Finley for February. And I've been wanting to reread the first 2 anyways, because the third one, Finley Donovan Jumps the Gun, just came out at the very end of January. So before I read that one, I wanted to reread the other 2. So yeah, so rereading that first one, it was just as good as I remembered it. Everyone loved it. We had such a blast at the book club meeting, chatting about it. It was so fun. We actually had so much fun that we are reading the second one, Finley Donovan Knocks 'Em Dead. We're reading that just as a bonus over on Patreon, in addition to our book club pick for the month of March, just because we all wanted to get together again and chat more Finley. So if you're looking for just a kind of silly, lighthearted, kind of has a little bit of a mystery, but it's just a fun book. If you're looking for something like lighthearted and fun, I mean, I would totally suggest Finley. You have to suspend your disbelief. It's not a realistic book in any way, but I think it's a really good time and I really enjoy it. So there you have it. That was really easy. So all I have to do now is just pop on my genres and page total here. So my genres, I read 1 cozy mystery, 1 thriller, and 2 graphic novels. And then I think I also added on 1 reread, because that's not something that I typically do. So I thought it would be fun to document that it was a reread, the Finley book. And there you have it. So at this point, I'd pretty much put my book away. So I am going to count out the amount of pages to get to the end of the year. So like I'll be like March, April, May, June, go all the way to December. I count out my pages here. And then I wanted to add another kind of page holder once all of those monthlies will be done, and that's where we will start the book club section. So that's what I'm going to do here. So I don't decorate it or anything at this point because I wasn't exactly sure what I wanted to do, but I thought I would add on this pattern paper here, and then I'll decorate it and do the rest later. So I do add this on, and then after this is going to be where my book club section is. So I do add a few of these little Avery index tabs, and then whenever I'm off camera, I use my Dymo label maker in a different shade of pink, and I just write out monthly and book club, and I do it twice so that I can stick them to each other, and then I just pop those right into the tab because they fit perfectly. Now at this point, I came back late at night, and you can tell there seems to be a bit of a film here on the camera, so I tried to make this part short and sweet. So don't worry, this is only like 2 minutes long. It does not last long because I realized that I needed to maybe wipe off my camera or something. I'm not sure what happened. And then also the lighting kind of goes in and out. I was doing this at like 8:30 at night, so I think it just wasn't the best idea I've ever had. So I cut out like everything of me creating those pages, but essentially I just made another little cozy mystery book club section where I can add the book on for every month. And then I documented the first book that we read for January, and then here we are documenting Finley for February. So I decided to print off my book at about a 3.5 by 4.5 or some size like that, popped it on at the top, and then I am stamping out the month underneath. I'm going to add 2 boxes where I essentially am just writing out any general thoughts about the book, how the book club meeting went, all that kind of stuff. I'm just popping that into the 2 boxes that go here on this left side. And then on the right side, just like last year, these are the little kind of like questionnaire attachment that I always do for the book club meeting, just so we kind of follow along this formula of just a few questions. So I always like to print it off for myself and fill it out so that I can look back on how I felt about all of the books. So really super simple here. It's kind of a lot of repetition. Also with the book cover, you see it so many times, and I don't know if this was the best option. Last year I took a picture of myself with all the books, and I know that that was cute, but I haven't started to do that this year, and I've already missed 2 months, and so I just thought I'm going to change it up, you know. I probably could have done something a little more creative, but this works out good enough for me. And then here at the end, I just kind of go for it, and I randomly do some of the yellow squiggles off the top. I don't even know, y'all. It was getting really late by the time I did this, but I've got to say I don't hate it once it's done. So that's going to be the design element for the year, and it is what it is. So that's pretty much it for this one. So I hope that y'all enjoyed this process video. If you did, please give me a like, and please also consider subscribing, and I'll be back at you here at the end of this month, the beginning of the next month or so, and we will document all of the things that I hopefully got read here in March. So I hope y'all are having an absolutely wonderful day, and I will chat with you very soon. Bye y'all.